Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by fields and dusty roads, there lived a young man named Arsalan. He was 22 years old and known for being quiet. Too quiet, some said. In a village where people talked loudly and judged quickly, silence was often mistaken for weakness. Arsalan lived with his mother in a small mud house at the edge of the village. His father had passed away years ago, leaving behind nothing but hard lessons and unfinished dreams. From a young age, Arsalan learned to work without complaining. He helped farmers during the day, carried goods in the market, and repaired tools at night. He did whatever he could to survive. But no matter how hard he worked, people never stopped talking. "He thinks he's better than us. Why doesn't he sit with others? Why is he always alone?" Arsalan heard it all, yet he never explained himself. He never argued. He never tried to clear his name. Every evening, young men gathered near the tea stall. They laughed, criticized others, and spoke big words about life. Arsalan passed them daily, head down, walking home. They mocked him openly. One day, one of them shouted, "Arsalan, why are you always acting so proud? Explain yourself." Arsalan stopped for a moment. Everyone waited for his answer, but he said nothing. He simply walked away. That silence made people angrier than words ever could. At home, his mother noticed the weight on his shoulders. One night, she asked gently, "Son, why don't you answer them? Why don't you tell them the truth about your struggles?" Arsalan looked at her and replied softly, "Mom, people who want to understand don't need explanations, and people who don't will never believe one." Days passed. Life remained hard. Money was never enough. Sometimes there was food, sometimes only hope. Still, Arsalan never complained. He saved whatever little he could and spent his nights learning a skill from an old broken radio and borrowed books. No one knew, no one asked. Then, one year, a long drought hit the village. Crops failed, work disappeared. The same people who laughed the loudest were now desperate. Many traveled to nearby towns looking for jobs. Some returned disappointed. Some never returned at all. Arsalan stayed. One morning, a truck arrived in the village. It carried equipment and materials. People gathered, confused. Soon, they learned that a small agricultural support center was opening nearby. They needed someone local, someone hard-working, reliable, and trusted to manage daily operations. The officer asked a simple question. "Who here works quietly and never causes trouble?" Silence fell. Then an old farmer stepped forward. "If you want honesty, give the job to Arsalan." Others nodded slowly. Some looked surprised. Some looked ashamed. Arsalan was called. For the first time, people looked at him differently. He didn't explain his past. He didn't defend his silence. He didn't remind them of their words. He simply accepted the responsibility. Weeks later, Arsalan was earning enough to support his mother and help others. He guided farmers, arranged supplies, and worked harder than ever. People who once mocked him now stood in line to speak with him. One evening, the same man who had shouted at him earlier came quietly and said, "Brother, we misunderstood you." Arsalan looked at him calmly and replied, "It's okay." Nothing more. No explanation, no revenge. As time passed, respect followed him naturally, not because he demanded it, but because he earned it without noise. The village learned something that day. Not everyone who stays silent is weak. Not everyone owes an explanation. Some people are too busy building a life to waste time defending themselves. And Arsalan understood a truth that changed everything.
The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who never wanted to understand is the moment you truly become free.